Good evening and welcome. The bridge connecting Hong Kong, Zhuhai and Macau was officially opened today by President Xi Jinping. But it appears Beijing sees the bridge more as a national strategy than merely a linkage between cities. Caleb Leung has more.
I now declare the official opening of Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, said President Xi Jinping. And that was it. The bridge hit a new milestone after almost a decade of construction. As the world's longest bridge-cum-tunnel sea crossing, it connects Hong Kong with Zhuhai and Macau on the other side of the Pearl River estuary. Vice Premiers Han Zheng and Liu He also attended today's opening ceremony, with Han giving a speech. He said the mega bridge will play a key function in the Guangdong-Hong Kong-Macau Greater Bay Area, and promoting the development of the Greater Bay Area is a national strategy personally planned and set in motion by President Xi Jinping. The project has broken many world records in bridge construction works. Han said this signifies China has become a country with strong bridge building capability and will help the related industries open up markets overseas. Chief Executive Carrie Lam said the bridge would shorten the traveling time among the three cities. Guangdong Party Chief Li Si and Macau's Chief Executive Fernando Choi echoed the view, saying the bridge will bring the three cities closer together. Sources said around 800 people were invited to today's ceremony, with 140 of them from Hong Kong. When President Xi entered the venue of the ceremony, Carrie Lam followed close behind to the state's leader's right. Chief Secretary for Administration Matthew Cheung said this showed Beijing attached importance to Hong Kong's status. The president was given a tour of the bridge after the ceremony. A lot of the guests did not get the same treatment, but that didn't stop them from praising the infrastructure.
The bridge is going to basically help Zhuhai, Hong Kong and Macau's economy quite a bit. And I think it's going to move people and cargoes and all that a lot quicker. This is going to be very helpful in the long run.
The public won't get to know how useful the bridge is until 9 a.m. tomorrow at the earliest, when the bridge actually enters service. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Tomorrow, travellers will have an extra option to travel to Zhuhai and Macau by car. Would it be easier to drive over there or take public transport? Officials promise the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge will bring further convenience to travellers. This man is eager to get on the bridge tomorrow morning. That move might help him save a few bucks too, as opposed to taking the ferry from Sheung to Macau. Assuming he departs Sunny Bay on a public bus ride and takes the shuttle bus across the border, that adds up to around $70 during non-peak hours, roughly $100 less than a weekday ferry ticket. While last-minute preparations were being made on the Hong Kong Link Road, Macau's Link Road was already opened to the public this afternoon. That's the stretch of road joining the enclave's boundary crossing facilities with the bridge. It's possible to cross the mega bridge and drive directly between Hong Kong and Macau, but quotas are limited. Otherwise, there's an option to drive all the way to Macau Port and park there before using public transport. But here's the tricky bit. Drivers will have to take 7 steps to apply for the Park and Ride scheme, such as to obtain the closed road permit issued by the Transport Department and an identification label from Macau's Transport Bureau, to purchase relevant vehicle insurance and to upload that information for formal approval. That takes roughly 12 days. Besides the wait, be prepared to pay over $1,000 for application fees, insurance and tolls. When the bridge opens tomorrow, travellers will have the final say if it's at all that convenient. The United States sent 2 warships through the politically sensitive Taiwan Strait on Monday in a move that is bound to irk Beijing. The Pentagon said the destroyer USS Curtis Wilbur and cruiser USS Antietam passed through the 160-kilometer wide strait without incident. A Pentagon spokesman insisted the move was not aimed at rising tensions and that the vessels sailed in international waters in a routine transit. This was the second time in 3 months that US Navy vessels had ventured into the strait. Taiwan's Premier William Lai said he respected the US right of passage in international waters and recognized Washington's efforts in maintaining peace in the Asia-Pacific region. While Beijing has yet to officially respond, the state-owned Global Times newspaper published an article questioning the intentions of the provocative move.
In Taiwan, the driver of the train that crashed on Sunday, killing 18 people, has admitted that he had turned off the train's speed control system. Today, 48-year-old Yo Zhenzhong told a court in Yilan County, where the derailment occurred, that he had switched off the automatic train protection system to boost power. That's because the train had slowed down earlier in the journey. That eventually led to the train flying off a curve at nearly 140 kilometers per hour, almost double the speed limit. Yo was granted bail of 500,000 new Taiwan dollars and is barred from leaving the island. Apart from the deaths, Taiwan's worst rail disaster in 37 years also left 187 people injured.
Russia appears willing to give ground to US concerns about how a 31-year-old treaty aimed at ending Cold War hostilities was being implemented. This as the US president's top security advisor prepares to meet Russian leader Vladimir Putin later today. Earlier, Moscow vowed to restart an all-out arms race after Washington threatened to pull out of the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Jeff Tang reports.
Top American and Russian officials scrambled to meet after US President Donald Trump's latest rhetoric triggered fears of a revival of the Cold War. Trump's national security advisor John Bolton is in Moscow to meet Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, who called for intensive dialogue to stabilize bilateral relations. Last night, Bolton had talks with Russian Security Council Chairman Nikolai Patrushev, who stressed the importance of maintaining the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. That pact, signed in 1987 by the then US President Ronald Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, helped get rid of thousands of land-based missiles from the US and Russia. It ended a 1980s arms race sparked by the Soviet Union's deployment of SS-20 nuclear missiles targeting Western European capitals. However, Trump threatened to quit the deal on Saturday. The US president blames Moscow for violating the INF agreement that bans both nations from making, owning or testing ground-launched nuclear and ballistic missiles with a range of between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. But in Trump's unique view of the world, no new Cold War would be complete without China.
It's a threat to whoever you want, and it includes China, and it includes Russia, and it includes anybody else that wants to play that game. You can't do that. You can't play that game on me.
Trump warned that his country will start making such weapons unless Russia and China agree not to develop or own them. China was not part of the 1987 INF deal. The Kremlin, meanwhile, expressed disappointment with Trump's announcement and denied it violated the treaty. Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov warned that the US pulling out of the deal would make the world a more dangerous place. But he added Russia would take countermeasures to restore the military balance if the US really opts out. For its part, Beijing called on Washington to think twice about its decision. The Foreign Ministry said the US was completely wrong to bring up China when talking about its own withdrawal from the treaty. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
Donald Trump also declared he will begin cutting aid to 3 Central American countries. Trump is accusing Guatemala, Honduras and El Salvador of failing to stop thousands of migrants heading for the US border. His threat comes with congressional elections on the horizon, where immigration has become a major campaign issue. Peter Coveos tells us more.
Migrants marching north in southern Mexico. What started out as a few hundred is now several thousand. This man says he wants to go to the U.S. so he can provide a better life for his 5-month-old daughter. They are desperate and defiant. despite President Trump's threat to use the military to block them from crossing the U.S. border. Trump took things a step further, threatening to cut aid to the countries where the migrants originated. In 2017, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador received about $500 million US combined in aid.
They're paid a lot of money. Every year we give them foreign aid, and they did nothing for us, nothing. They did nothing for us. So we give them tremendous amounts of money. You know what it is, you cover it all the time. Hundreds of millions of dollars. They, like a lot of others, do nothing for our country.
Immigration has become a major issue ahead of the U.S. midterm elections. It's a topic that plays well with Trump's base. Trump is campaigning to stave off a Democratic push to take control of the House and possibly the Senate. And with votes so important, the U.S. president even helped 2016 rival Ted Cruz in his bid for re-election in Texas. Trump once mocked the Texas senator as Lion Ted, but now the two seem to have buried the hatchet. The U.S. president also put the blame on Mexican officials for not stopping the caravan.
Take your camera, go into the middle, and search. You're going to find MS-13, you're going to find Middle Eastern, you're going to find everything. And guess what? We're not allowing them in our country. We want safety.
Safety, the very thing the caravan of migrants are seeking as they try and flee poverty and gang violence. Peter Corveos, TVB News.
Welcome to our lounge. Enjoy your stay.
Thanks very much.
Find calm in over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. It's another way we've got your back. The Platinum Card from American Express. Don't live life without it.
Welcome back to TVB News. Lawmaker Ted Hui appeared at Eastern Magistracy today over a phone snatching incident, and he pleaded not guilty to all 3 charges against him. The 36-year-old faces charges of common assault, dishonest access to a computer, and obstructing a public officer in the execution of public duties. Hui allegedly grabbed an executive officer's phone and viewed its contents inside the Legislative Council building in April. The prosecution will call 25 witnesses to testify, while the defense side told the court it needs time to study the related documents. Before a pre-trial review scheduled for December, the lawmaker is released on $8,000 bail, but does not need to surrender his travel documents.
The MTRC has today admitted there were errors in a report it submitted earlier to the government. This was put forth today to a commission of inquiry probing faulty works at the Hong Hom station. Sharon Tang reports.
The leading counsel of the railway operator, Philip Boulding, openly addressed certain omissions in a report submitted to the Highways Department back in June. That includes removing some 500 millimeters of slabs which connects diaphragm walls in the east-west corridor. Their long steel bars replaced the originally approved designs. The total number of couplers reported was thus incorrect. Boulding said that's because the project's main contractor, Leighton Asia, was unable to come up with remedial solutions within the limited time period. However, he stressed that the MTRC had no intention to mislead the public, as the problems were immediately rectified. In addition, Leighton is also expected to submit an as-built drawing to the government later. Boulding also ascertained there's nothing wrong nor unsafe with cracks and water seepage found in certain diaphragm walls. He accused China Technology of making groundless allegations against the MTRC. That relates to allegations that steel bars were cut short on a large scale. Meanwhile, the government said that diaphragm walls and platform slabs are regulated by the building's ordinance. It also stated that all parties involved must speak for themselves to allay public concerns, regardless of whether the allegations were true. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Remember the man who swallowed diamonds after robbing a shop in Central of the Jams? Well, today the High Court sentenced him to 5 years in jail. The Jordanian held up a jeweller's shop on Wellington Street in July last year, and he beat up a shop employee. A High Court judge today called the attack brutal and suspected the man carried out the planned crime alone just a day after he arrived in Hong Kong. After grabbing diamonds valued at over $10 million, he swallowed some of the gemstones when police arrived. At least 250,000 construction workers may see their wages go up from next month, some by more than 13%. The Hong Kong Construction Industry Employees General Union delivered the news after months of negotiations with other associations. From next month, 13 types of construction workers will get higher wages. Some trades, such as those on ceiling partitions, will see a pay rise of 13.6%, which is $1,250 for a day's work. Despite an average increase of 4.5%, that's still the lowest in a decade. And that's the news.